Right, could I call you attention, please? Thank you. Could I just welcome you all here, particularly the members of the public. It's nice to see you, that you're still taking an interest in the Malvern Community Board, which I think has been quite successful, and we're looking forward to the new incoming board working along with council staff and the community. That's the #1 priority. But a very special welcome to you all. Council staff, thank you for making the effort and coming. We'll look forward to some of your comments during the procedure. Steve, welcome, and Bipong, and my board, thank you for coming. Councillor Glidden, John Very, my deputy chair, Calvin Payne, and Sian Noon. Also, could I welcome back, even though it's unofficial, Councillor Bob Mugford. As you probably realise, that the council has taken in turn to actually represent and sit on our council. Bob did the first 18 months, and Lydia has taken over from there. Could I at this stage just offer an apology for lateness for Phil Freeman, as I understand he's on his way. So thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy this, the final meeting of currently the Malvern Community Board, as it is currently. Apologies. Could I just say a late apology for Phil Freeman? Is that accepted? All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. John.
Yeah, got an apology from Alan Peacock and Graham Dawson, and I know they're not members of the board, but they had wanted to attend this meeting, and Graham asked me to pass on to the board the appreciation from the Springfield community for the work that's happened, and also to pass on to Selwyn District Council reserves team for the fantastic effort and the extremely cooperative way that they've actually worked with the Springfield community to make progress on the Taiwura Reserve.
Thank you, John. We'll accept that along with the apologies. Okay, identifications of any extraordinary business. Sian, could you tell us, please?
I'd like to raise a use case around communication with the Horada community in relation to the closing of the Selwyn Bridge on Bailey Road.
Didn't hear that, but wait a minute, so I'll just make an adjustment here. I'll see if I can. I'll try that one. Right, thank you. Any conflicts of interest that anybody has? Correspondence? We got any correspondence? Thank you. Could we move on to the public forum, please? Now, we have, there should be a paper before you. So, we ready to go?
Yep.
What do we need?
Charlie Hudson.
Okay, Charlie.
Kia ora, good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Look, thank you,
Mr. President.
and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much.
The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. Kia ora, my name is Charlie Hudson, and I'm a project manager at Age Concern Canterbury. Now, I've sent you through some notes, but I wanted to update you on the project we've been working on with Selwyn District Council and in Rolleston, and the beginning of our outreach out into Darfield and Leiston, which I know that Darfield obviously is of interest to the Malvern board. The sort of project objectives around this was to centralise a hub in Rolleston as an accessible base for our older people in Selwyn. And then we wanted to look at how we could bring these services and do some outreach more rurally to improve the kind of equity of access, and to build partnerships with health and community providers and kind of essentially just promote well-being, independence and social connection. So from April last year, so I'm just going to look down some of my notes. From April last year, We opened the hub at the Rolleston Community Centre. It operates every day in the mornings, and we have a hub manager, Emily Johnson. And and we're now looking at about 150 people coming in every week, and they access a whole variety of services, both what we offer from Age Concern, which is we offer support for issues of elder abuse. We have a whole social connections team that can do visitations and organise outings. We have a home support services, which we're hoping to grow, which connects people with local tradespeople, everything from gardeners to people who can come and clear your gutters. We have community connectors, and they're there really to answer all sorts of questions, whether it's around issues of sort of housing or, I mean, it's very varied. But if we essentially try to provide a service that if we don't know, we can send someone away with the information for somebody who can. And then within that, the hub's a place for people to drop in, have a cup of tea. We have games mornings, we run exercise classes, and we do other classes. And what we found is we're trying to really look at what each area needs and tailor it accordingly. So, for example, in Central Christchurch, we find much more issues around loneliness and social isolation. We found more as we've moved out of Christchurch, those issues aren't as key. They're obviously still there, but they're not. It tends to be more around, I would say, access to health services, housing, and transport seem to have been much bigger issues. And for us, the way that we've been able to step in is to look at sort of allied health services and see how we can bring them into the hub. So the way we've done that is we've sort of removed barriers around cost, so we can have a space for them. So we now have Nurse Moore, Dementia Canterbury, Citizens Advice Bureau, who now come in once every 3 weeks, some more often than that. And we promote them, support, the room and connect them up with people as they need support. So the hub is up and running. We've been doing lots of expos and events. And then we've looked at what sort of model we can do to move this out rurally. So we've been working with the Heartland Trust Services and the libraries. So we're now into week 3 of every other Tuesday. Our hub manager, Emily, goes out to the libraries in Leiston and in Darfield and is there in person at the libraries to answer questions and offer support. And she's doing that kind of on the ground sort of investigation into what really dialing down into what the local issues are and what support that needs. So some of that gets fed back to Selwyn District Council, and some of that we look to see how we can offer support from Age Concern Kent. So we will, by the end of the year, we want to create specific leaflets and brochures that really outline what is available within walking distance, so really locally, what is available via the Rolleston Hub, and then what services really need to be accessed in Central Christchurch. So we'll have those up and running by the end of the year. But at the moment, it's really Emily sort of spending her time in the local community, connecting in with the doctors and whatever sort of, all the sort of other services that are locally available, and we will build from there. But the feedback so far has been very positive. It's really around identifying where those gaps are and who we need to connect into to what support we need to bring in to make sure that people are actually able to age well, stay in their homes for as long as possible, and stay in their communities. So, any questions?
Yeah, look, thank you for that, Charlie. We're delighted to have you here. One of the questions I will ask, where does your funding come from?
Well, at the moment, what we've done is this is being funded through a joint venture with Selwyn District Council. So they had somebody who had, I think, had left council, and it left a space. And they had we'd done some input into the Te Pai document, which is a document around aging well in Selwyn. Age Concern CEO Greta Bond did quite a lot of work with them on that. And they thought actually Age Concern might be best placed to basically fill that space around answering questions and providing services. So it's partly funded through Selwyn District Council and partly funded through Age Concern Canterbury. We had a contract until November this year, which it's been extended now to July next year, where it will be reviewed, because the anticipation is that Selwyn District Council might take this project back and run it internally, or they might continue to have age, and that means that that means we would then become one of those, services that come in remotely and offer our services. But depending on how it all runs, we are very happy to continue out in with Emily and with our staff going out. So our staff go out every week as well they rotate days out in Rolleston. So at the moment, it's locked in till July next year, but with an anticipation that it will continue in some format, either jointly with us, or it will get taken back by Selwyn District Council and they will operate it as their own resource.
Thank you. Questions, board? Sian.
Hi, thank you for your report. That's really awesome to receive, and it's good to see that there are services coming out to our rural communities now. My question is, when was it decided that Age Concern would be engaging in the Darfield and Leiston communities?
So this was part of the contract that was agreed at the very beginning from Selwyn District Council. So the idea is that they wanted us to set Rolleston up first, and then look really at how we could offer support to. I think we're in Lincoln already, so it's Darfield, Leiston, and then out into Ellesmere as well, which has a few more issues because it's quite widespread, and we're trying to work out how we do that, and it might be through the mobile library service. But it was part of the original contract, is that we investigate that, and to the best that we could.
Thank you. And just one more question. So far, have you found that the service is beneficial in Darfield and Leiston?
Well, Emily's only been, I think she's in Leiston today. I think that operating through the libraries has actually been really effective, because they are people who see people every day, and also having the ability to be able to refer. Like if you're concerned about someone, you can refer them. So that's been really good, actually, using those spaces. It's still quite early. Emily said that the new location in Leiston's been great. It's right by the supermarket, but also the foot traffic into Darfield's it's really popular, busy library. We're looking at how we can adjust it slightly. We might end up making it more of a morning tea. There's been some social groups there that have stopped because they haven't had people to run them. So we're looking at maybe turning it into a morning tea drop-in, so that it's a little bit more welcoming and really focusing on that social connection, whilst also being able to answer questions and provide support. Because we are, our team are happy to come out. So we have had some people actually do some visitations from Christchurch after making appointments. So I think it will grow. And people are just having the service on hand, I think, is what's really important. And then we'll be able to track it by the end of the year to see what trends we're seeing and how we can fill any gaps that we might identify.
Any further questions? All right, look, Charlie, I certainly endorse what you're trying to set up. And I would hope, I'll mention it to the new community board when it's elected. We intend as a group here that we'll pass on a number of things to the newly appointed board. And then it's really just some of the things that have been brought to our attention. And I think this one in itself is a very worthy project for us to follow. Because there's no question about it. I know we've got members of the public sitting here now who are very enthusiastic for something that you're trying to achieve. So I would hope that the new community board will take this under their wing as well. But in the meantime, thank you and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Best of luck. Thank you.
Right, we'll move on now. The next speaker is Erin Brody. Now, Erin, I understand, and when you were approached to speak to us, I know that you're a standing candidate for the new board, so we've got to make that irrelevant. You're putting something forward which is completely different. So I won't take any incriminating things that perhaps you might wish to say, but I know you too well for that, Erin. So I invite you to present your submission.
Thank you for that, Mr. Chairperson. It was a question that came up at the candidates meeting. We had a public Q&A, and as a group of candidates, we were asked a question, and I had no information to answer to it. So it is around the sister cities. So is that within the rules?
Yeah, that's okay. As I understand of the brief background I had of what you wanted to talk to us about was concerning sister cities. So I'm more than happy.
Right. Don't want to be a rule breaker. Not yet. So at the candidate meeting, we were asked from Alison Rosanowski a question around what we would. The question wasn't very clear, but it was around the sister cities relationship with the Malvern Community Board. And just speaking on my behalf, I've heard about it when I've been at these meetings, and I think I've heard Calvin talk about the budget around it, but there hasn't been a flow of information, I think, for the public to actually understand what that relationship is. So I felt kind of on the spot what the question particularly was, and it was to do, I think, with an ongoing relationship with the new Malvern Community Board. So I'm here to ask the question, what is the relationship? I know it's through the Selwyn District Council, through the Malvern Community Board to the sister cities, but we were asked this question, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the other candidates, but I think we were a little confused. And in hindsight, I would have probably have appreciated if they felt comfortable with someone in the community board who were there to maybe have been able to bridge that lack of what the question was about. So just here for some information and an understanding of what the memorandum of understanding, or particularly for the future board, for those who pick it up and run with it. And I did email Alison to give my apologies that I wasn't really aware of the relationship, but that I would be coming here to grow my knowledge and hopefully share that with others.
Yeah, look, thank you, Erin. I'm just going to give a very brief summary. Then I'm going to ask Calvin to do it. When we first came in as a community board, I guess none of us really understood what our responsibilities were. Now, that's no fault of anybody's, other than the fact was it wasn't passed on to us. So when the new board comes in, we will be telling them their responsibilities of what the Malvern Community Board is towards the sister cities. Now, really, we only have one responsibility, and that is to Yabetso, because that was set up by a previous Malvern Community Board, and it was we have taken that over. Each incoming board does that. But it's gone further than that now, to the extent that we were invited by sister cities to appoint 2 people to represent the Malvern Community Board on the Sister Cities Committee. So what I'm going to ask now, Calvin Payne was one of those members. I'm going to ask Calvin briefly to explain what Sister Cities is and what really our responsibility is. Calvin.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Bruce is totally correct. The Malvern Community Board has a one-off relationship with Yubitsu in Japan. So that is a sister cities relationship, but with the Malvern Community Board. So it's not with Selwyn District Council. So Selwyn District Council has a number of other sister cities, 6 or 7, that it has arrangements with. Now, those arrangements, the Selwyn District Council ones, are currently looked after just by the Sister Cities Committee. Selwyn District Council doesn't have any staff allocated to international relations. So the sister cities are controlling the whole, managing the whole situation for Selwyn District Council. So our involvement as Malvern Community Board is the Sister Cities Committee are an awesome group of people who pay for their own travel. I'll make that very clear. And they support the other arrangements. So we've joined with them, and we now have 2 members on that committee, which currently is myself and Bruce. We attend their meetings, and they support us more than we support them, I'd have said, in that they, for example, this year they went to Ubitsu because none of our members were able to travel. The Ubitsu agreement means that every other year some community board members travel to Ubitsu, and then in the other year they come here. So we have their mayor coming sometimes, and our mayor has also travelled. So it's a really high level, it's a really important relationship just with Malvern Community Board. So, but we use it, we're obtaining the support of Sister Cities Committee to actually support that arrangement, and it worked really well. The cost of the cities committee is very small, relatively speaking. We can go into that, but the future of that is under review, and we're supporting them throughout that as well. So it's really important for the Malvern Community Board to keep that Sister Cities support and agreement between us. There's not a memorandum of understanding that I know about or anything, but that would be a really good thing, perhaps for a future board to establish, to make sure that it's very clear what's going on. One thing we don't have as a Malvern Community Board regarding that is we don't have a specific delegation to deal with that relationship because it is only with us. So I think it would be really good if a future board could formalise that so that there is a delegation there that formalises exactly what the Malvern Community Board is responsible and our international relationships. Because international relationships at the moment are really important, particularly for Selwyn. It's the fastest growing region in New Zealand. So hopefully that's most of the information. Is there anything I've missed?
Could I just ask Councillor Bob, would you like to just add anything? Because it was in your time, basically, that this was set up.
No, it's probably 20 years ago with the Malvern Community Board, if not more, when Warwick Judd went over to Ubitsu. And no, I think you made a good, your discussion was right with this. It's fun. The other part of the cities is funded by Selwyn District Council, and the community board's funded by their own funding, but it's something that's been going on. And the other side of it is there's Akataka in Japan, which is in the middle of Japan. There's Toraja in Indonesia. There's Coventry in America, and there's in China, up on the top of China. So that is our committees, which we, it's very active over the years and has been for a lot of time, but it is definitely doesn't have a lot of council input into it. It's a sort of separate committee.
Thank you, Bob. Kelvin?
Yeah, could I just clarify one thing? It's not just about people travelling to and from the 2 countries. The real core of all these arrangements, Sister Cities and Ubitsu, is education. So we have links with Darfield High School. We've got students every year going both ways, teachers as well, English teachers, etc., passing between the 2. So there's great relationships building, and it's about education as well, people learning about different cultures. So it's not just people travelling at their own cost, it's actually about students as well and education. And the agreement with Ubitsu is celebrating its 25th year anniversary this year. So it's really important that we continue that.
Thank you. Yeah. Aaron, is there any other questions? I mean, does this give you a background?
Yes, it's answered a lot, and hopefully it gives anyone who's successful coming on just a head start. So I just didn't really know what it was about. Can I ask one quick question that's not on this topic? It's not trouble. It's just with West Melbourne being moved now to Springs, will the Melbourne board meeting monthly be moved back to Melbourne? Cool. That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
yeah, Steve, you're
I've
next.
got my light on. Yeah. Yeah, look, the governance team at the moment are looking to move the Malvern Community Board meetings back to Darfield. And we'll work with the new board when they're in play, so that the meetings occur within the community.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next, even though he's not on the agenda, Brian Dawson. Brian, would you sit down and talk into the microphone, please?
This one. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Brian Donnelly. I'm co-chair of the Sheffield Waddington Residents Group, and I've come here today to say two things. The first is thank you to Bob Muckford for all the time, dedication and years that he's put in for the council. We, the group in that area, want to personally pass on our thanks for all your work and wish you well for the future. The second thing I'd like to say is thank you to the community board for all the work you've put in, particularly regarding the Sheffield swimming pool. I know you've all done a lot of work, and I want you all to know that the community appreciates it greatly. We held a dinner the other night. We raised $2,000 towards the pool. And without the work of the community board in the background, I don't think we would have got where we got to on Saturday. Lydia, you were there, you know what it was like. We were gobsmacked, to put it politely. We just couldn't believe how many people turned up and how generous they were. Finally, Bob, to you, thank you for all your work. You were dumped in it at the last minute and you had to hold the board together, and you've done it exceptionally well. So good luck to you in your retirement. Thank you everybody for your time.
Look, thank you, Brian. We've had really quite a difficult time when we first started, and I won't carry on with that. But once the board got established, I found that their enthusiasm, their loyalty was just something that they took up the mantle, if you like, and that was something that I really appreciated, and it's nice to hear coming back that the community has appreciated what the Malvern Community Board has, and I thank you most sincerely. Right. Okay, well, there's nothing else on public forum, have we? Confirmation of the minutes. They are before you. Somebody prepared to move that they be signed as a true and accurate record. Kelvin, thanks, Lydia. Before I sign them, is there any matters that you want further discussion on that is not already in the actions? John.
Just in relation to the $80 to the Malvern Writers Club, and you know my financial information isn't very great, but have we got confirmation that it has been paid?
Yeah, the $85 or $80 or something, wasn't it? That we gave as a, yep. It's something that has been brought up. Steve.
If you'll allow our finance team to answer that in their financial report, we're pretty sure it is.
Right. Is there any other matters?
Yes, Mr.
Sian?
Chair. My report from last month, was that added to the previous agenda, as I don't see it in these minutes?
Steve, you want to comment?
Has it been circulated via email, Paul? has been circulated.
Yeah, I just thought for public information, with it going up onto the website, it might be best if that report was attached to either the minutes or the previous agenda. It's my apologies that it was late, but for completeness, thank you.
All right. John, the question is, and I'm just looking through, but Steve will remind me, you asked a question, re the rating of the Sheffield pool.
Yep, I think that's answered.
You're happy, yeah. So you're happy with that?
The only one point I would say would be the,
You haven't approved the minutes yet.
I appreciate that.
the community rate,
Can't be asking. Right,
the general community rate that's charged, that's a separate matter, so I can bring that up under finances.
okay, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, I'm prepared to put the motion that these minutes be signed as a true and accurate record of our last meeting. Somebody prepared to move that? John, Kelvin, thank you. I will put the motion. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Move on to actions from those minutes. Steve.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm not going to work through the linear order of the actions because we've got a couple of staff here that can talk to the specific items that have been raised around the Sheffield flooding. So Springfield flooding. So we're going to talk to that item first, and Alex, Ross and Tim are here to talk about that. And then we've got a couple of other items related to Selwyn Water and to the Darfield wastewater connections, and Tim and the other Alex Cabrera are here to talk to those items. So if you're comfortable with us dealing with those three items first on the action plan, then we can go to Alex Ross. And Alex has shared a presentation that is part of the minutes. It is appended to the action report, which is around the Springfield flooding work. So Alex, can I pass to you now to talk through that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Steve.
thank you.
Can we just bring my slides up? Is that all right? Oh, all right. Go. One. Great. Thanks for having me along today, everyone. So my name is Alex. I'm the surface water asset manager at Selwyn. And I'm actually presenting Tonkin and Taylor's work, as you'll see. Great. So this is just an update on where we are with the Springfield bypass project. So it's a flood mitigation project that's been on the books for a while. Basically, in 2021, Springfield suffered a serious flooding event with prolonged heavy rainfall. Following on from that, Tonkin and Taylor developed a hydraulic model of that flooding in 2022 and came up with some options for mitigating the flooding. That modeling was updated this year with new LiDAR, and we considered additional options as well. All right, just my notes coming up here. Roll with it. Right, so the model was calibrated based on photos that were taken during the flood event. On the left, you've got the photos that were taken and how that relates to the model that was developed. The photos weren't actually taken at peak water level, so that's an example of, on the screenshot on the right, what the peak flooding looked like in that event. So that was built into the model to kind of ground truth it. This year, the model was updated to make sure that the extent was large enough to properly test the impact of the options. That's what that looks like. Now, the flooding that comes into Springfield is coming from these two large catchments on the hillside, the Bishop's Gully catchment and then a smaller catchment on Airedale Stream. The options that Compton and Taylor came up with it during this process were basically two bypass options. We'll see those in subsequent slides, and an earth dam. So this is what the options look like. We've got the dam. Obviously, these are either or. We wouldn't do all of these. So the dam there to hold water back. Alignment 1, which is a bypass, which takes a straight cut straight through to the Ko-Fi River. And alignment 2, which takes a longer flow path there. We'll talk through the implications of why these have been developed. Both alignment 1 and alignment 2 involve crossings under the state highway. So pretty significant project in terms of infrastructure. Taking a closer look at alignment 1 and alignment 2. So alignment 1, they both channels have a similar cross section. Alignment 1 goes straight to the Ko-Fi River, and it's not following the lie of the land quite so much. So there's a lot more cut required for that one. Whereas alignment 2 follows the slope of the river terrace down. So it has less earthworks, but a much longer flow path. So this is some modeling of alignment 1 through the hydraulic model. Basically what's happening here is that we would be formalizing the existing stop bank at the bottom of the hill. That's what's shown in yellow there. Then there would be a new weir, and that's intended to control flow from the hillside into the new alignment channel. So that's the light blue there. Then the green is a new embankment that would be formed to hold water back. We still want to be able to pass low flows through those embankments. So it's a little hard to see, but basically there's some new culverts that would be built through that embankment to still pass flow into the existing waterway. And then you can see at the top of the page, the new culverts under the state highway to direct water towards the Ko-Fi River. So it's really just at concept stage, but it's been run through the model to test what the impact of the flood diversion would be. And that's what you can see on the screen. So on the right, you can see the existing situation where there's a lot of surface flooding, and we'll have a look at what that looks like downstream in the township. On the left is, if we were to build this thing, what does the flooding look like on the land parcel immediately at the base of the hill? So the working group has already started engagement with that landowner, and this is what it would look like at this point if we built alignment 1. So just comparing alignment 1 and alignment 2, as I mentioned, alignment 1 heads straight to the Ko-Fi River. It's not as favorable in terms of the lie of the land, so there's a lot more earthworks required to build that, whereas alignment 2 takes a longer path but follows the natural slope of the land. And both of those have a similar channel, approximately 10 to 40 meters base width. So a large shallow channel basically to convey flow. Taking a closer look at alignment 1 again, that's what the route would look like through the Ko-Fi River. And then alignment 2, so that longer flow path also to the Ko-Fi River. And just reiterating again, both of them involve crossing the state highway. So this is what the modeling looks like for alignment 1 in a 50-year event. You can see that that channel fills up there, and then there's less flow entering Springfield Township. Similarly, alignment 2, if we were to go that way, the channel is obviously taking most of the flow again, and the township is also suffering less surface flow as a result. So this is some screenshots of basically the impact of the bypass, either alignment 1 or alignment 2. So on the left, what happens right now, the existing flooding. On the right, what we model would be the result if we built the bypass. So you can see there's less surface flooding if we were to build that. And again, the impact looking downstream, no bypass and with a bypass. So basically less surface flooding as a result. Now, just looking at the dam option in a little more detail, what we were told by Thompson and Taylor is that it's a pretty significant project. So this is a dam with a capacity of 250,000 cubic meters of water, about 200 meters long and up to 13 meters high. This would be classified as a large dam, and it's estimated to be between $10 and $15 million. So as you can probably imagine, that option was more or less written off based on the cost and the significance of that. Looking at the other options in a bit more detail, alignment 1, we have an indicative cost of around the $4 million mark. Alignment 2, that's $6 to $7 million. And again, the dam option and $15 million. Now, both alignment 1 and alignment 2 do require the crossing under the state highway. But you can see with alignment to, given the longer flow path, there's some drawbacks. There's a lot more landowners that are affected. The velocities are estimated to be higher in that channel, which brings in extra construction requirements. And in short, based on just a concept stage analysis, alignment 1 looks like the winner that we're going forward with. So just looking at the project constraints, the state highway is a major issue because of the level. So all of the options, alignment 1 and alignment 2, require that culvert underneath the state highway. Some other, I guess, I don't need to talk to that too much. Basically, where we're at is that we've identified the concept options. Based on the costing, we think alignment 1 is the one to go forward with. We've asked Tonkin and Taylor to go ahead with modeling some other design events. So at the moment, we've only modeled the 50-year event, and we've been asked to model the 100-year and 200-year event. That was feedback from the working group. They'd like to understand the level of service. Based on that modeling, we'll have an opportunity to consider upgrading basically the level of service that the bypass would provide. Now that'll have a cost impact as well. So there'll be a conversation depending on what comes out of that modeling. We've also kicked off a planning assessment so that we can understand what consents we need to build this. And we basically will come back to the working group once those 2 pieces of work are done. Yeah, so that's all I've got today. Does anyone have any questions? Or do we hand back to
Sian?
the chairperson?
Hi, thank you for that. My question would be around, with both alignments feeding into the Coolway River, what would the impact be on the intake? That's further downstream. I believe that's for CPWL. And they would have some specific requirements environmentally for nitrate levels for when with them pulling from that part. So because you'll be upstream from that intake from both alignments, has that been looked into on the impact for the irrigation systems?
Thank you. That's a great question. I don't think that's been looked into at this stage, but given that we're commissioning more modeling, that's something we could specifically address and ask for some results targeted to that intake, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be great. And also with, I know that Environment Canterbury is involved in the working group. So I'd assume that there'd need to be some resource consents to push water into the Coolway. I'm very jealous of that river. It's one that I frequently roam. And so I'd like to see the environmental impact on it low, but I do understand that people first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear that as well. Again, I guess that would fall out of the extra modeling and the planning assessment that we're doing. And at that point, once we understand the options, we can look at mitigations for those. Yeah.
Calvin?
Yeah, thanks for that, Alex. That's really good to understand what's going on and where we're heading. You've got 3 options there. I assume none of them actually stop flooding full stop, because we can't do that, can we?
No.
No. So if we go for the cheapest option, which looks like where we're heading, does that mean we get less protection, potential protection, or is it?
That's a great question. I didn't put it in this presentation because it has some kind of personal implications for people within Springfield Township, but they've actually done the modeling to look at how many habitable floors will be flooded in each scenario. So that information is available if need be. My understanding is that all the options provide a similar level of service. But I guess, as I mentioned, we're doing further modeling so we can define that level of service in a little bit more detail. And there will be probably a bit of back and forth where we ask council, what level of service do you want to achieve? And what's the dollar figure? And weigh up the costs and benefits. So more work to do. Basically, it's at early concept stage.
And Alex, just to confirm too, that this information is being worked through with the group of the working group, which includes Environment Canterbury and representatives from the local community as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, could I just add comment there, though? Currently, the working group being represented by the Malvern Community Board, of course, won't be necessarily the same people. So I would hope that an invitation will be extended to the new community board for representatives. Because it was really us, this community board, through the Springfield Residents Association, to get the thing set up initially. So let's just not forget.
Yeah. sort of implied with a number of the action points on this meeting in particular, but the briefing for the incoming community board will actually receive a bit of a run through of how this community board's started to operate, which is there's regular infrastructure updates focusing on water and roads, because they are things that really matter, as well as reserves. And so that will form part of a regular update in the work plan. So we will be briefing the new board on that opportunity.
Yes, certainly. I appreciate that, Steve. Calvin?
Yeah, I've got one other question related. The predictions you've made on potential future flooding, what sort of scenarios have been used? Is it the best case, the worst case, or somewhere in the middle?
At the moment, they've used 50-year flood with an allowance
Right.
for climate change.
Okay, I remember that now, sorry.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries. And we've been asked by the working group to also model the 100-year and 200-year flood, which would also include climate change.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Good to understand that.
I can't see. You've got a water jacket in front of it. I can't see, John. Thank you, John. Sorry.
Well, at least the water's transparent. There were several action items at the meeting in April. One of them was to check on the two properties about the floor flooding level, and I believe one of the properties may have been demolished. Are you able to provide any further update on that?
I don't have the detail, unfortunately, but I can look into that. I know that one of the model updates included a floor level survey and surveying of actual habitable floor flooding, which we haven't presented.
Okay.
Yeah.
So taking a step back, is my understanding correct that option 1 and option 2 are alternatives, and that the dam is an added benefit to whether it's option 1 or option 2?
Oh, no, thank you for your question. No, they're really option 1, 2, 3, and the dam being option 3. So we've just decided to go with option 1 based on the cost. Yeah, so the dam was a third wildcard option, which I think we've well and truly written off based on that cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the options assessment summary, and I realise it's preliminary, there doesn't seem to be, from my reading of it and lack of engineering knowledge, there's the affected people, the affected parties, because I think that what brought this whole thing about was people continually suffering flooding, both in Springfield and further downfield. So has any work been done to quantify the actual disadvantage to the community for options 1, 2 and 3?
Yes, that was done as part of the modeling update this year. We haven't put it in the slides because it does sort of specifically call out which houses are affected by habitable floor flooding, and that felt a bit sensitive to put in the presentation, but we do have that information about the level of service that we can achieve. It doesn't solve all of the flooding, though.
Would it be
improves it significantly, but it doesn't remove the flood risk. Yeah.
Would it be helpful if it was shared confidentially with the bypass working group?
Oh, I believe they've seen that information, but I can check on that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit new to the role, so I haven't actually been in the working group at this point, but I should be in due course.
Okay, yeah, just. And a time frame for the further modelling, given the fact that it's sort of a considerable amount of time since the working group had the last update in April. And I know several members of the working group in Springfield have asked me to raise that they would appreciate a meeting in November of the working group. And I accept that there's no point in having a meeting if there's nothing to present. But one of the advantages I've been had communicated is that at least if the members of the working group are there to hear, they can speak for themselves.
I'll check in with Tonkin and Taylor. I think that would be achievable. They've been quite busy finishing our own district-wide flood model, but I believe they'd have availability, so I'll confirm that with them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Alex, could I thank you most sincerely on behalf of the board for bringing us that update? I agree that you must keep the community informed, though. There's no question about that, because the questions asked are still being asked. And I think the thing with the cooperation of ECAN as well, they should be keeping the community informed along with you. So I appreciate for what you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Cool.
Next.
So I'm going to, now they're going to pass the microphone over to Tim and the other Alex. And that is to deal with the two other actions that were immediately above that update on Springfield flooding. And that's to just talk briefly about the Darfield and Kuwi connection to Payne's wastewater treatment plant, and also provide an update on Selwyn Water Limited, where we're at in terms of drinking water. So Tim.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the board for having us along today. And thank you to Alex. Actually, you probably don't know, but the council has been smashed by sickness. And Alex not only is new to the role, but this is a new project for you too. So you were kind of asked to do this last second. So thank you for that. And saying that, we also would have really liked to have had Murray England here, who I think you all know really well, and Elaine to speak in a bit more detail about the Darfield and Kuwi rollout. Unfortunately, they can't be here, so you've got me instead. I won't be anywhere near as good, but I do have some bullet points here that I'll speak to. Alex Cabrera is with us. If you haven't met Alex before, Alex has been leading the establishment team in regard to the WISCO. And Alex will talk a little bit around what's coming next for that, mostly around the water service delivery strategy that needs to be developed. And I'll give you a bit of an update on where we're at and some of the milestones that we've hit in the last few months. But I'll start with reading off Murray's notes in regard to the Darfield and Kuwi wastewater reticulation rollout. Murray's at pains to point out that there's some really good information on the Selwyn District Council website under the Darfield and Kuwi wastewater pipeline project. He's telling me to let you know that council have not confirmed the cost to connect to the wastewater system at this point. It was discussed in the 21 to 31 LTP, but no decision was made at that point. He is saying originally the cost was estimated at around $17,000 per household. However, I might go into the update around the WISCO now, because it also speaks to identifying the work program and the costs which will be coming. If that's okay, we might jump around a little bit. John, I saw you were about to ask a question, but I might pause.
Yeah, John, you're prepared to take questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Okay, John.
If I can answer them, John.
John.
Thank you. Yes, just on the website and the feedback that I'm getting from the people in Darfield and Kuwi is that, you know, the estimate is there for 2025-26 of 17,500 as the connection fee. And I don't need to stress the economic climate and the views that can be taken as common knowledge. And that has got a lot of people, it's increased their anxiety, shall we say. And then also the estimate that's still on the website when I last checked and prepared my report was that on top of that, there's the $5,000 to $20,000 connection fee for the property. And I suppose what I'm looking for, and I'm sure you're going to cover in the next few minutes, is that are these charges likely to be under or overestimated? And probably more important, and I do recall some preliminary indications being given that maybe sort of a sectionalised time frame as to when the connections are going to occur, and also that how rigid is the thing that once the pipeline, in my words, goes past your property, you'll be charged the fee or you must connect. Those are some of the issues that are, as you're aware, are coming back from the community.
Thanks, John. Look, I think the answer to your question around the when really sits around the development of the water services strategy. If you think, you know, council goes through an annual plan process every year where we look at our program and we confirm what we're going to deliver and when we're going to deliver it. There's a massive piece of work now for the Wisco, and I'm cutting into your piece. I apologise, Alex, but we'll come back to it again later on as well, around the water services strategy, which will look at, you know, all the work, the programs that sit in the LTP and confirm when that work's going to be done. So that bit of work still needs to happen, but needs to be done within the next 6 months.
And I suppose, again, without being too pointed, that the district plan didn't go out for consultation. And my understanding is that now that we've moved to Selwyn Water Services Limited, the engagement and consultation with the public may be even worse, but I'm sure that it won't be.
Good afternoon, everyone. All the Alexes in the room seem to have only been in the job for about 10 minutes, so I'll try to do my best to cover your questions. But one thing that I heard, I've been with working in this project for about 6 months now. As Tim said, it was primarily around establishment, and now obviously moving into getting the organisation up and running. But councillors have been, or Selwyn District Council have been very clear in terms of the community engagement. I think, you know, Councillor Glidden and Councillor Bob both have, you know, every meeting I've been with them, they said the engagement needs to be very active, it needs to be regular, and it needs to be a kind of a two-way conversation. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. Hopefully we'll be the first of many. And as Tim was saying, we got an opportunity now to look at some of these issues with a slightly different lens. Selwyn Water has access to some tools that Selwyn District Council didn't have under the new legislation, and we want to put those tools to the best use of the community. So it's not something we're going to do in isolation. It's something that, you know, subject to an invitation from the chair and the new committee, will be happy to do with you and with the community and be guided by you in terms of how do we engage with the wider community. But clearly there are some, this is my kind of slightly panic face when I hear about, you know, the costs that we're talking about to get people connected. And that, again, given that we got the facility to connect, it would be a shame not to connect people because of the cost. So we need to kind of just work through all of that, all of those details, and look at the kind of planning going forward, which again, I mean, I wasn't there at the time, but some of these details would have been good to cover right when the pipe was going down on the ground, right? So I think that we can definitely continue the conversation if there is a desire to do so, but we'll do our very best to deliver those outcomes for the community. Kind of cover your question,
John? Sorry, can I just ask a very quick one? So the last I remember hearing in regards to connections for Kiwi and Darfield, they were going to be for new builds only, and their existing houses were going to be further down the track. I also remember hearing something around there would be 10 years to pay off that connection fee. So I'm just wondering if that's still in play at this stage.
I think, as I said before, all of those things should remain as an option, and we'll work with the community on that. In terms of the phasing of the connections, I'm not sure where that came from. I wonder if it got anything to do with Environment Canterbury and some of the other, I'm seeing nothing over there. So we will work through that, but we will do it with you to make sure we deliver some good results for the community.
Yeah,
Kelvin?
yeah. Could I just reinforce the comments of the other members of the community board? This has during our 3-year term, this has been right from the start. People panicking about when they've got to connect and how much it's going to cost. These are the two big questions, and I'm really pleased to hear that we're going to get in some engagement now, and nothing has actually been confirmed by the sound of it. So we really need to get that engagement right, and I welcome the opportunity to engage with that. I mean, we haven't got long left, but the new board, this is going to be a really big challenge to make sure that our communities have a clear way forward, working with council to make this new pipeline work most efficiently for all our residents, not just for parts of our residents. Yeah, thank you.
Steve.
I've got my light on.
Well, you
Sorry.
got your light on,
Yeah,
that's all.
accidentally. But I think, Alex, do you now want to just touch on where Selwyn Water Limited is at? I think you've probably given a pretty good intro as to your approach and mindset.
Thank you, and I was just going to respond. So, yes, your comments and the comments of everyone have been noted, and we will do what we can. As I said, we got some new tools that we can try to apply to this, and we will try to, as I said, get better outcomes. In terms of where we're at with things, so council made the decision to establish the Selwyn Water. We've been working on the establishment of it. This has been a fairly busy period, and I think I congratulate the council for making the decision ahead of pretty much the rest of New Zealand. We are about 12 or 18 months ahead of the second. That's been quite a busy period in terms of, we pretty much developing the blueprint for us to come in New Zealand, but that gives us some great benefits in terms of being able to control the narrative a little bit more. So last week, on Wednesday, council approved the transfer of the assets and the risks and the liabilities to Selwyn Water Limited. Yeah, you're smiling now because there's no. So we have been, as I said, that's largely the establishment phase. So we set up the organization, we identify the staff from Selwyn Water, from Selwyn Council, they were transferring to Selwyn Water. We work with the legal team and the infrastructure team identifying the assets that were required to do the job. So that's been completed now. We got between now and December to work through with the management team and with the new council through some of that detail. It is quite a complex piece of work, as I said before, but we have all confidence that we will get there on time. If nothing else, we're just slightly ahead of where we have planned to be, which is a good position. But the one thing that I keep hearing loud and clear is the engagement with the community and the fact they need to be open, transparent, it needs to be regular, and it needs to be meaningful. And the bit about meaningful is, you want to know when things are going to get done, what is it we're going to deliver, what are the implications. And again, I can give you my commitment that will be done as often as you like. So we really want to make sure we put the customer, meaning the communities, at the center of what we do, and that we work together with agencies, with the council, and with every other party that's required to achieve this result. Anything else you would like me to cover?
No, I think that's good, Alex. So just a bit on the legislative requirements around dates. So we, as Alex said, we stood the WISCO up in July. Legislatively, we're required to issue the WISCO with a statement of expectations 6 months after that. We did that last week, and that was approved by council. And then 6 months after that, the WISCO are required to submit the water services delivery strategy, and that's following consultation, to Alex's point, and really maps out what's going to be delivered and when it's going to be delivered.
If I may just add, it's great to be invited here, and it's great to, as Tim said, we will be consulting where appropriate, but that's not the only mechanism to engage. So I'm more than happy to come with the team and talk directly with you or with any particular community groups that maybe they have an interest on what we do. And so that, again, just to repeat myself, that's something that the councillors have asked of us regularly, and we want to make sure we deliver to that.
Any further questions, John?
Yes, it's good to hear that there's going to be a variety of new tools. The one that springs to my mind, unfortunately, is the increase in the borrowing cap. Are you able to just be a little bit more specific about what other new tools that Selwyn Water Limited will be able to have access to that Selwyn District Council didn't?
To give you, there's several, but one that is, I think, of particular benefit is LGFA, which is the lending agency, will be recognising development contributions as revenue. Where now often we need to wait several years, 6, 7, 8 years sometimes, to get access to those contributions. Now we will be able to have access to that upfront, which means it will be less impact in terms of, how we apply kind of cost and charges. So we can spread out some of the costs a bit more, which will mean that the impact will be less, and also using the money to then when people move in or with, the new developments are in, then you can pay some of the money back that way. So that's quite a really useful tool. They have made our financials look slightly more positive.
So is that predicated on the fact that the council fairly soon, hopefully the new councillors, review the development contributions policy so that there's a sizable and equitable contribution in the pond so that it can be drawn upon?
Yeah, but I think that Big Council in Wellington will be reviewing some of that for the whole country. So I think that will be, again, some benefits across the board. There is an understanding that, the cost of infrastructure need to be fairly charged across the board, and that we need the tools to do that. We need the infrastructure, but you talk about before the cost of living, right? So we can't just rely on one group of people. Sometimes, small populations having to afford very large infrastructure costs so we're trying to take quite a broad view of how we're going to do this in a way that is mindful of the current environment.
Just to add to that, John, I suppose you're right. We are reviewing our DC policy at the moment. There's a lot going on in this space at the moment, including the indication that we might be moving to levies at some point. So Alison and the team are quite busy looking at our DC policy at the moment and how it might be impacted by that.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Well, I could at this stage John.
Just given the information, and one of my colleagues raised it earlier in relation to the nitrates, my understanding is that the water supply within Darfield and Kirwee is from a fairly deep and self-contained aquifer, and it's unlikely, from my understanding, that that's going to be nitrate contaminated from rural activities. Is that?
I believe I have heard the same information too. Yes.
Alex, do you want to
Alex, did you want to?
Sorry, I don't actually work in this space anymore, but my understanding is it's an unconfined aquifer and that it actually does have quite high nitrate levels. That's my understanding is the nitrate levels are actually quite high in Darfield, and it's not.
An aquifer itself, they're quite high.
Yeah.
So it's a problem that's gone back well before Bob.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For a while.
Okay, if there's no further questions, could I just, on behalf of the board, thank Alex Springfield for bringing us up to date there, and Tim and Alex on the Darfield bringing us up to date. What I've enjoyed this year, or this term of the board, is the fact that you people have made yourselves available to come and speak to the community board. And long may it continue. But I thank you most sincerely on behalf of the board for your contribution today. Right, we'll move on. We'll be up to now. Sarah.
So look, I think we've dealt with 3 items. The team, you're more than welcome to go now. Thank you very much for your contribution and time.
Yeah.
There's a array of other responses within my action update, and so happy to take any other questions or comments that you might have on that. Thanks, Alex. Otherwise, happy to take the rest as read. Hey, Sean.
Right, shall we continue with Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question, Steve. The report for Heartlands Fund that I saw on the agenda, is that part of the section list, or is that going to be part of your executive report?
The report should be attached to my executive report. So that is the quarterly report back, and one of the commitments that we write into our work plan going forwards is that council regular report will make its way to the Malvern Community Board regular work plan. So that update continues on a quarterly basis from here on.
Oh, great. I was just wondering if it was covered under the actions or if you're going to cover it under your report. Thank you.
Right, we're now on to Sarah.
Yeah, if everyone's happy with that, then we can move on to, so just propose that with Sarah.
Well, she's going
here,
to go before you.
He's going to go before me.
So you're happy with that?
I'm happy with that.
Sarah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, I'm here to report on the finances for the period ending the 31st of August. I'm pleased to say the Malvern Community Board recorded a year-to-date surplus of $1,196, which was $1,914 higher than forecast. Now, what made that up was the revenue is increased because you have 173 more properties now being rated than were in the original budget. So that increase will flow through each month till the final June report. It's estimated to be about $3,500. The total operating expenses for the period were less than forecast by $1,726. The key favourable variances compared with forecast were vehicle expenses, which were $1,600 less than forecast. That may be because some members have expense claims to put in, so we won't bank that saving just yet. Expenses were lower than forecast across a number of expense codes, so advertising, training, catering and phone expenses were less than forecast. Where we spent more than forecast, training and conferences. Now, I'm sure you're all aware that a couple of members' registrations were for the conference. It is budgeted for, it was just budgeted in a different way, so you've paid for it up front, but the budget was spread over the full year, so over the full year, that's perfectly in line. General expenses, again, that was something that the payment to Darfield High School was made in a month, but the expenses were spread over the full year, so you're still within budget there. There's a couple that you will note in the report, there's a couple of coding errors that were made by the payables team, and they will be corrected for next month. So that's ACC and a purchase that was made for LGNZ membership. Now, to answer Mr. Ferry's question, yes, the $80 Malvern Writers Club was paid in September, so that has been paid. Another query, I think, from the previous month was, is the right-hand column, the last year actuals, is that is that correct now? Because I think we spoke about there was some ACC costs of another $26 to go in there. Yes, as per the report that was tabled in July and in August, the last year actuals figures are the June 2025 final figures. The full year forecast does include those amounts that were requested, totaling 4,306. If you would like me to remind you what they were for, I'll just grab those. But it was asked for extra money to be put into conferences to cover the LGNZ conference, some more money to be put into training, which was $1,383, and additional $1,445 to be put into advertising for the new board coming in. So the current budgeted deficit is $6,756 for the full year 25-26. So you'll see that reflected in the report there. Okay.
Calvin, seconded, John. It's now open for discussion. Thank you. John.
Yeah, I'd just like to summarise a couple of things regarding the finance report. For the 24-25 finance statement, which is last year, this statement has been finalised, subject to audit, and was included in the July 2025 Malvern Community Board agenda. So we're just waiting for that to be audited, and then that will come through. The 2025-26 transitional budget, which is what we're talking about now, report to the 31st of August 25 is included in this agenda. You've just been through it. Just like to summarise some of the headlines. The only variance between that has been implemented is the $2,450 increase in the members' remuneration notified by the Remuneration Authority in the July MCB agenda. So the transitional budget is therefore negative 2,450 from the draft zero budget that council agreed. So just to explain to people who haven't been involved, we had a zero budget, transitional budget that we agreed, i.e. we wouldn't be taking any money from the surplus. In this transitional budget, this is 3 months of this current board and then 9 months of the future board. So that budget is now running at 2,450, and that's because of the change in remuneration, which we obviously have no control over. The surplus is currently forecast to have a closing balance of 33,634 at the 30th of June 2026. That obviously depends on what actually happens with the future board. And the 2025-26 budget currently has an underspend that you mentioned earlier, Sarah, of 1,196 to the 31st of August 25. Obviously, the financial report will be finalised for the new board when the spending for the September 2025 has been allocated, which Sarah also mentioned. Obviously, there may be some outstanding costs there. So it's looking in a healthy position overall in terms of this being a surplus to the surplus available for the new board, but it's up to them how they budget and how they spend. And I'll just finalise with it should be noted that this is a transitional budget and the 26-27 budget will need to be agreed with the council by the new board as part of the annual plan review process that is shortly to take place. So this is because we've had a major decrease in the number of ratepayers, which is the targeted rate, which is those from West Melton that have unfortunately left, and we now that needs to be reassessed. So this is some guidance for the new board, and I'll be passing over that information so that you're fully aware, the new board are fully aware of where they start from. So I've got one little $85 thing that I need to talk about, but I can maybe leave that to the end of this. Yeah, I'll leave that till the end. Thank you.
Not relevant to what I'm saying now. Is there any further discussion? John.
Yeah, in relation to the total revenue, is my understanding correct that as more properties come on in Malvern, Tawera and pay rates, that our revenue over the year will increase?
My understanding is that the rates are struck on the 1st of July for the year. So the year is fixed that you'll have 173 additional properties this year. And any properties that come on board during this year will be rated from the 1st of July next year, 2026.
So people who buy a property between now and the 30th of June don't pay the $26 targeted rate.
I believe that's correct. Steve's nodding.
Yeah, it is. It is also something that we are looking at with the financial team around how we strike rates and how we then capture that growth within a calendar and within a financial year. So we are looking at options for the new council.
And the other one was the on the rates. There's a community. What's that byline? A community rate.
Right.
What does that go to?
I'm not sure. I would need to find it out and get back to you on that one.
Yeah, no, sorry, I forgot to bring the bit of paper with me.
Okay.
But it was something like a community services rate or something like that as a separate unit that's charged. And I was just wondering in relation to, and it comes back, I suppose, in relation to the halls and places that don't have a hall. And I know that's a piece of work that we're waiting for further information on, but just how the general community overall pays for halls, especially if a section of the community doesn't have a hall.
I think what we will do is through the minutes, John, we'll take that as a specific point of clarification for the budget briefing that we bring into the new board. And I'm fairly certain that is also going to be part of that information that's come back with the community halls report.
And my final comment would be that given the 2 coding errors in the 1 month for a very small number of transactions, I hope that's not representative of the finance department overall.
Of course not.
Sian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the report. There are so many numbers at the moment. Mine's very minor. It's in relation to the payment that we made to Darfield High School for prize giving. So in the actions, it says that we have given them 500, but on the financial report, it's like 435 or something like that. So
Yeah, GST.
So
Darfield High School invoiced Malvern Community Board for $500 inclusive of GST. So what gets reported in your accounts is the exclusive of GST amount.
Yeah, okay, I think that clarifies it, yeah. Okay, if there's no other further questions, again, Sarah, thank you most sincerely for your input into the 3 years of the community board. We appreciate that. You've always been approachable, and could you convey to your other financial team members, I've mentioned it in my report, but I would like to just on behalf of the board, thank you for the effort and the way that you always appreciated the fact that we've asked the questions. So if you'd pass that on to the other fellow members of the finance team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Steve, we'll go back to your report now. Okay, at this stage, sorry, Calvin.
I've got just that final little thing on finance, if we could.
Yes, did you want Sarah to remain?
No, Sarah doesn't need to be there. It's just for the board to agree.
Okay, thank you.
Could I just put forward a motion? We've had $85 come in as a charge for a wreath at the that was laid by John Verry at the Rui Ali Memorial visit. I've got the receipt, so I'd just like to put forward a motion that we put that onto the sister cities budget.
Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Sian. Any discussion on it? If not, all in favour that we pay that account, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Right, we'll now move on to the Executive Director's report, item 7 on the agenda. Steve.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I guess probably we've tagged the Heartland Service Delivery Report to this report. So happy to take any questions on that. It is just I guess our regular reporting, and if you've got any feedback, I can pass that through to our Community Services and Facilities team. And just to note on, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, that our action plan and probably the recent history of our action plans are being reviewed at the moment, and they will be presented in a summary format to the new board as to how help them develop their future work plan and how they wish to operate. But certainly that's under the guise of this continued partnership between the board and council, and also supporting the board in its work in the community with the Residents Association, and something that we want to keep progressing this approach. So they're the two elements around the work, and I guess formally and on behalf of the staff, this is your last meeting. And so we also, on behalf of the staff, on behalf of Sharon and the team, we want to pass on our thanks to you for the work that you've done in guiding the staff, and also appreciate the way in which you've worked with our team, and certainly in my time over the last year, and how you've engaged and worked with us. You've always given really clear advice. You've always been really respectful. We've had some challenging conversations, but we've done that in a spirit of actually we're all here as part of this community. We want to make our community a great place to live. And also would like to acknowledge in particular the service of my young colleague next to me, Bruce, who I think in terms of years of service and in terms of contribution to our community, a massive acknowledgement and recognition of the way in which you lead community, the way in which you listen to the community, but also just the way in which you operate as a true gentleman. And I think I've learnt a lot off you, and I'll wear a tie next time. But just want to acknowledge on behalf of council and staff, thank you for being you. Thank you for your commitment, and thank you for your dedication to this role. You've been a pleasure to work with. Yeah. So anyway, happy to take any questions now.
Could I move this report? I don't believe, I said to Steve initially, I've got a conflict of interest here for some of the things that he said, but however, it's my pleasure to move Steve's report. Seconder? Thank you, Phil. Been moved and seconded. It's currently open for discussion. Sean?
I'd just like to make a comment. It's great to see that the AA mobile service is going to be coming out to Darfield, I assume under Heartland's funding. One of the things I wanted to see, excuse me, was that the Heartlands Fund was being used in the rural areas, and so I'd like to see more of that. I think that would be great. And I'll leave my reply to your thanks to my valedictory speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could I just add to this, Steve, the cooperation that we've had from you and the members of your executive team. As I say, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and I can see the way the council staff are now treating the community board. May it long continue, because it won't be long, I'm quite sure, that we'll have a community board in every other ward, not only in Malvern, and I look forward to that. I'm prepared now to put the motion to accept Steve's report. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Community board. Now we move on to the board's reports. I would at this stage, I know it's going to be probably a wee bit boring, but It would be, I'd like to just read my report, if I may, rather than taking it as read. It's the same report that I presented to council last Wednesday, but I do this particularly to just to give people the ideas of what we have actually done and what we've achieved. And I've appreciated the fact that I've asked each one of you to put, you know, what you've said, what you believe you've achieved. Now, while in my report, I haven't given credit to anybody, I've given credit to the board as a whole. So if you take it in that vein, that's the way I would like to present it. In this, my final report to council and to the Malvern Community Board, I would like to comment on a number of things that we have achieved and brought to the attention of the Selwyn District Council in making the Malvern ward and its residents a better place to live in. We started somewhat precariously with 2 by-elections. Once our current board was formed with a new chair and vice chair and 2 new board members, we all accepted the challenge that was put in front of us. Each member was given a responsibility in regards to area. Some of the issues that were brought to our attention were as follows: roading, water, speed, Sheffield swimming pool, transport, Waimakariri Gorge Bridge, footpaths, youth, children's playground facilities. These are but a few of the matters we undertook as a responsible elected board. The Malvern Community Board ensured that the community voice has been heard at national and local levels. Policy issues through submissions on granny flats, representatives review and appeal, dangerous and unsanitary buildings, speed and water. The board, in partnership with the Malvern Community Vehicle Trust, a trial of an affordable weekly shopping bus service to Hornby, Rolleston, West Melton. A clear public transport need has been established at no additional cost to the ratepayer. The board took upon itself, with the help of the Springfield Residents Association, to form a working party with the Selwyn District Council, ECAN, residents and the Malvern Community Board, re-Springfield flooding. Progress is proceeding extremely well. The board has a strong relationship with Township and Residents Association, with a new one recently being formed at Glenroy. We meet every 2 months for discussions and updates. Council staff have attended when asked, something myself and the board appreciate. We have strongly supported ANZAC services in our areas and have assisted setting up new services in Halkett and Kurwee. Riri Allen Memorial Springfield, along with sister city committees, have been recognised as an intricate commitment of the Malvern Community Board, as this is our responsibility, having originally taken the initiative by the Malvern Community Board some years ago. We have contributed to the renovation of the Darfield Historical Jail, which was officially opened last Saturday, the 13th of September 2023. We have also helped set up the Malvern Writers Group. We had a very successful evening acknowledging 16 recipients awards for voluntary work in the Malvern ward. It amazes the board, the people who, in our opinion, are the unsung heroes of our community. Youth has also been a major focus of the board over the last 3 years. We invited through the Darfield High School 2 representatives to have speaking rights and take part in all our discussions at our board meetings. But with changing meeting times and venues, this was not as successful as planned, but we hope the new elected board will pursue this. The board has in the last 2 years donated $500 per year to the Darfield High School to be awarded to students as they see fit. Finally, I would sincerely like to thank my fellow board members, John Very, Vice Chair, Sian Yoon, Calvin Payne, Phil Freeman, Councillors Bob Mugford and Lydia Glidden. Selwyn District Council staff have also played a very important role. And I would particularly mention our CEO, Sharon Mason, Steve Gibbling, Teresa Darville, B. Pole, and the finance team. Thank the Malvern community for your loyal support to the Malvern Community Board. As Chair, I wish every success to the new Malvern Community Board when elected, along with setting up a community board in the other 3 wards of the Selwyn District Council. Also, as Chair, I would like to express that it has been my pleasure to chair a very successful community board. I move my report. Thank you, Sian. Is there any discussion on it?
Yeah.
I hope that sorry, Sian, yes, dear.
Thanks, Bruce. Look, I am mindful that I need to make a correction to something that is in your report, given one of the members of this group is sitting in the room right now. We did not have a hand in setting up the Malvern Writers Group. In fact, at the very start of the term, I was invited to attend one of their meetings. They were a group that was already established. So I'd just like to have that corrected, please, in honour of, we've got 2 group members here, sorry. So I'd like to make that known that we actually had no hand in that. I think we contributed financially to their book launch, but that's potentially the only thing that we've had to do with that.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
I'm happy with that. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion that it be accepted. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Move on. Sian, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move my report as read.
Seconder for that, Phil. Thank you.
The only thing that I really would like to raise in this report is the action point that I have in my report in regards to Breakneck Corner and Whitecliffs. Attached is some photos and analysis from an engineer in regards to that area. This was something that was raised with me by the community some time back, and myself and Councillor Glidden had to do quite a bit of digging to find some historic information in regards to communications around this with SDC and the community. So I don't feel that this is resolved, given the community has re-raised this with me recently. And I would like for the next board to consider being updated on this matter. I'm mindful that I haven't attached previous communications with the community and Selwyn District Council, but I would like to provide that at a later date. But yeah, if we could please put that onto an action list for the next board.
Thank you, Sian. As a seconder for Sian's report. Thank you, Kelvin. It's open for discussion. Sian, there's one here. The letter to the NZTA that we wrote in support. I haven't signed that. You want me to sign that?
Thank you for bringing that up. I should have probably brought that up too. Yes, please.
Okay,
yeah. So I think we all agreed to it at the previous meeting.
Correct.
Lydia mentioned that I needed to make a little change on one of the state highways, which I've done, and I've forwarded that email to you. So yes, please. If the rest of the board agrees that that goes to NZTA.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the fact that you wrote it on behalf of the board, and we did alter it a wee bit, but I do thank you for that. Okay, so subject to that addition, I'm happy to move now the Sian's report be received. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Move on to the next one, which is Kelvin.
I'm about to break all records. Thank you very much to the rest of the board. That's my report.
Did you second that report, John? Oh, you moved it. I've moved it. Did I have a seconder?
Yeah.
Now, I think, Joe, just to add to that, Kelvin, I know you sort of took under the finances for one of the allocations that we gave you. I appreciate the fact that you looked after the finances, and I do thank you for that.
Thank you, Bruce. Just wait for my valedictory.
Phil Freeman, your verbal report, please.
Yeah, like usual, I haven't written one. I started writing a report and it was putting Selwyn Council in a bit of a negative light, so I stopped writing a report because the first report I wrote like that was didn't go down too well. So I would rather just celebrate our successes rather than looking backwards and where the failings are at STC at the moment. Stepping out of this, I'm looking forward to actually working behind the scenes with the new board and also taking a little bit of District Council to task on a few of their, how would I put it, failings at the moment out in that rural sector. But you know, that's pretty much all I have to say. Or can I move my report?
Thank you. As the seconded, I'll take Sian, please, if I may. Sian, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on Phil's verbal report? Okay, thank you. Move on to John, your report. Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Phil. It's open for discussion. There's sorry, John. There's a number of things in this report, though, that I appreciate the fact that it's been brought to our attention. But I think the point is, there's a lot of things, and unless somebody wants to point any particular things out, in my opinion, it's a very good report. But that doesn't take any effort off any of the other board members either. And I think this wants to be part of it. And I would hope that and I'll sum up once I've heard Lydia's report, but if there's no any discussion on John's report, we'll move on. All in favour, please be receptive. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Lydia.
Jeepers, this is going so fast. Look, I'll take my report as read as well. I'm happy to move my report. And I said I would give you some verbal updates on a couple of things that had happened because we had council meeting after my report was due in. And so most of you have probably already seen in the newspapers and whatnot anyway around Upper Selwyn Hut. So we agreed to a 30-year term with a review at 20 years. Yep. And so that will inform what happens after the 30 years. So I guess plenty of time for good engagement and for people to see the future. And I'm really pleased to see the review of the Aqualink report in there every 10 years and that being communicated as well so that we can look at updates and see if there are things that are changing. And we agreed to no building inspections outside of council's normal practice, how we would treat anybody else in our district. So that's something that I'm very pleased about. And Alex touched on before around transfer agreement to Selwyn Water Limited. So we approved that on Wednesday, and so there are a couple of amendments to the resolution there that I'm not sure if you're aware of, but it was for monthly updates from our chief executive until full sign-off of the transfer, and then after that a comprehensive report to come back to elected members that would be prepared by Selwyn Water Limited and Selwyn District Council, and that will outline any differences in the transfer, and give us a good consolidated view over all the assets and consents and contracts associated with that. So regardless of what the new council decides they want to do, that piece of work would have to happen anyway, around ring fencing, all of that. And there are a couple of other things just for an FYI. There's a couple of crossing upgrades I'm not sure if you're aware of that'll happen in this financial year, and so one is for Ross Street outside the school and the other one is Cardale Street, which is good. So that's something the community's been asking for in Darfield. And regarding Sheffield Pool, there's just some slight challenges at the moment around the surveying for the LINZ application, so that's been worked through by staff at the moment. And you'll see that, yeah, I had a reply from NZTA, which that's slightly disappointing. And so I'm happy to take some feedback and what I put into my response back to that from board members.
Thank you. Secretary, thank you, Sharon. You wish to answer a question? Okay. Sharon.
Yeah, well, one of my statements was going to be on my disappointment in the response from NZTA, given there has been a death on State Highway 73 in Sheffield. Can you, just one question on that, has the council sent through their letter to NZTA yet?
Yes, council has, and they've also had a response, and I can circulate that.
That'd be great, thank you.
Response letter as well.
Yeah. Bruce, I'd just like it noted that, oh, sorry, Mr. Chair, I'd just like it noted that potentially we should still continue with our letter, so that there are 3 formal letters from 3 formal organisations, sorry, 3 letters from elected members that support the speed reductions for State Highway 73 in the hope that they may be prioritised. And I do wonder, Lydia, if it might be time to get a bit of a petition going with the community on this, because this is of high need.
So I think that, you know, like, I guess it was the response from Mr. Cagle was actually the most important part of that whole thing, and saying, actually, it's not a straight no. It's just there's a body of work that they are undertaking and they have some certain priorities at the moment. And it's unfortunate that that is speed reductions on our state highway isn't their priority at the moment. Their priority is around the variable speed signs around schools. So I think that we can write a reply now, but I'm assuming that James is going to come back by the end of the year because they're working through the priority of speed reductions. So it's not a straight no, it's just not a right now, which is the frustrating part.
Does that answer the question, Sharon?
Yeah, it does. Maybe just another handover item for the next board to continue looking into. Yes.
Yeah, look, I'm more than happy with that. If you wish to propose, you know, we continue vigorously to support Lydia, and I'm more than happy with that. Is the board happy with that? Okay, so do you want that as a motion, Sharon, or just as an agreement?
Just as an action point.
Okay, that's
Thank
fine.
you.
Thank you. Lydia, anything else you wish to say, add? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll now put Lydia's report on. In favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Right, we move on to, we had one item, Sharon, that you wanted to bring up as extraordinary business. The closure of the Bearley Bridge.
Stay there, Phil. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So over the weekend, the Selwyn River Bearley Road Bridge was closed for maintenance, structural maintenance, which is completely understandable. However, there's been a few challenges with that. One being around communication. There was comms via Facebook, and potentially, I can't remember if I received an email or not, somebody tell me that we did or didn't. We did get an email about that. So that was wonderful. I guess one thing I really want to have the council be aware of is that in our wee rural communities, we have a lot of people who do not have access to the internet, usually due to age. There was a specific incident where an elderly member was on his way to the hospital for an appointment and he was unable to get through because the bridge was closed. He didn't know there was an issue with the bridge. One of the problems was that the sign advising people of the detour was at the wrong side of Hororata. It was outside the domain on the west side. It potentially should have been on the east side, so that people going through Hororata would have been able to see it, Popayui, and go around through Colgate onto Coltrack. So I do implore the council to think differently when it comes to our rural communities. I feel like every meeting in the past quarter I have been requesting better communication, and it's happening and it's been great to see. The last one was Kiwi, and I believe the Kiwi Residents Association is happy with the way comms are coming through now. But for our more isolated rural communities, there needs to be another way to advise people of these sorts of things. It's not a small thing. It's actually quite disruptive to people's lives, not knowing that there's an outage of a bridge that they have to access to get to where they need to go. So yeah, I don't know if our sitting member who resides in Hororata would like to add to that.
Yeah, I would actually. We also had a large event on in Hororata on the weekend, which was a vintage car swap meet, which none of those people that sort of go to those things, most of them are not on Facebook, and they were travelling out of Christchurch, so that created quite a large traffic backup in Colgate. Of all them trying to do that. But it's just that planning thing, you know, like an event like that is the same date every year. It's been with the events group, but the different groups in council don't seem to talk to each other. So if when they were doing eroding, they should have checked to see if there was any event, you know, and it would have made life a lot easier. But yeah, that's just mainly the thing. It's just that communication and how you get it out there. As I say, a lot of old men do not go on Facebook. And that was really the only where it was plastered. So they just didn't pick it up. So, you know, I rang my father who was coming out and he had no idea, you know, and he's 85 because he's not going to look on Facebook. So he quickly rang around all his mates because they were all coming out not knowing. So it's just that, you know, communication.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
Can I suggest a very simple solution potentially would be, once again, engaging with the resident group. Go Hororata, very committed to their community. You've got a member sitting right here. So this potentially could have been something that was resolved that way. I'm not sure how effective door knocking would be, but just, you know, maybe maybe if the Residents Association knew, they could have gone and did a bit of door knocking for the isolated residents that they're aware of. Thank you.
Could I at this stage then, Sian, would you like to move a recommendation so that it is tabled? You know, that the big thing is communication. It's as simple as that. And I think we just want to, it's not a criticism, but the point of the matter is it's a recommendation from this board in future. So would you like to move that?
Yes, I don't know what that would look like.
No, well, we'll sort of wording here. We'll sort some wording out, but I think it's a recommendation that to try and alleviate things that's likely to affect communities, that we get some form of pre-warning,
Potentially,
particularly to a residents association, where that they then can put it out to their own people.
And potentially it needs to, the recommendation would need to be that during planning of a project that might have a impact on a community, specifically rural in this instance, that the local resident group be engaged to assist in the planning of
Okay, yeah,
the works. Thank
Michael,
you.
can you sort of work something out from that with Steve? Okay, that's fine. Is there a seconder to that? Thank you, John. It's been moved and seconded. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, so that brings us to...
Can I just bring up a late extraordinary item?
If you wish.
Yep. Just sort of on a light-hearted note, that in one of my conversations out and about, it was drawn to my attention that a certain organisation sort of going above and beyond in trying to attract and retain staff, and that one of the senior engineers positions had sort of as a staff benefit free fruit. And I just wondered why that, given this day and age, if you were going to offer free fruit to a senior member of staff, how come it wasn't offered to the large number of staff on a living wage?
Yeah, look, they are. Everyone gets access to free fruit, both within HQ and within workplaces. Look, there's a number of things we do to try and retain and look after our staff. Thank you for identifying that.
Question answered? Thank you. Okay, now just before... Sorry? Yes, so just before I conclude the meeting officially, Steve would like to make a presentation. And I'll make a comment as he presents.
Thank you. Right, you go and comment, and
which one are you going to do first?
Valedictory. So everyone gets to do a valedictory, and then we can do that at the end.
Me do a valedictory?
Well, it's on the agenda.
Is it?
Yeah. So you might want to go last this time, and maybe you might want to point to a few of the members. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Right. Carry on.
It's probably your meeting to pass on to whoever you're looking at, and I reckon Phil's probably candidate to go first.
Okay, so part of the valedictory thing, Steve is going to make a presentation to you. It's just that Steve, Phil, you came in and you wanted to perhaps do things differently. But I think the thing is that your contribution on behalf of Horata community has been very, very forthcoming. And it's something that I've appreciated from you. The fact is that you have looked after your community, and I thank you for that. Again, we had a few eruptions up there which have been settled, I'm quite sure. Again, Phil, you've taken up the project of trying to keep calm and work to a progressive conclusion, which I believe that you have done. But I thank you for the work that you've done at this community board. I wish you every success in your retirement. Just keep playing rugby. That's one way of getting rid of your excess energy.
Thank you, Bruce. Yes, no, it's been an interesting. I only came on to basically find the insides of what goes on, and I will be back when I've got more time. Running a business and a large family, it's very time constrained. So, but I have learned a lot. I've learned how to get things done and where to find places to be done, and which way of how would I put it? The best way to get results and how to approach that. I'm a man who've always worked in the grey area, and I've realised that there is no grey area in council. everything is plus, plus, plus. But there is room for the grey area because that's what life is. I think you cannot pigeonhole and paint by number a community. It can't be done like that. It has to be done as the problems come up, you solve them. You can't just say one answer fits every community because every community is different. And that's the biggest problem we've found, is trying to keep each community. They've all got the same problems. It's just about, and I think our voice and getting out there and meeting the RAs, getting them together is probably the biggest thing, because they've all sat by themselves for so long when they were committees of council. So that the fact that now they're actually sitting there and going, oh, we've had that problem, it's actually solving easier. But no, I will be back, hopefully the next term, but we'll see. Thank you.
Sian.
Thank you, Bruce. Look, the past 3 years has definitely been a roller coaster ride, but there have been some serious ones that have happened in this board. I am proud that the community now knows who the Malvern Community Board is and what the Malvern Community Board can do. There are many, many projects that I am proud to say that I've had a hand in. I would like to mention the reopening of the jail as being probably the best accomplishment that I feel I've had in my time on the board. It has been an absolute pleasure working alongside the communities. I have learnt more than I feel I have given in the past 3 years about the communities of Malvern, and my love and passion and compassion for the people have grown even more so. I'd like to say thank you to my fellow board members, our councillors who have supported the board, and you know, I do have to make special mention to my colleague Calvin. This man has been the real glue that has kept this board together, in my opinion. He has been willing to have the challenging and courageous conversations with individual board members. He has ensured that we have all remained on the same page, and he has been my personal unsung hero in keeping me grounded in this role. So Calvin, I just want to pay respect to you right now, and to you, Bruce. Thank you for your service to not just Malvern, but the Selwyn district in your time. You didn't have to do this, but you did it because it was the right thing to do, and that's exactly what an elected member should be. So thank you, I honour you, and wish you well in your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Sian. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the comments. But again, you were a person who came onto this community board right at the start, and you were a bit like, even though I'd had a bit of experience on community boards, you and Kelvin came on as basically the new, as the new people. The point is, though, that even though we had this precarious first few months, we didn't quite know where we were. But the thing was that the three of us, we stuck together. We knew that we could achieve something, and I admired you for that. You not only gave your service, but you gave service to the fact that you had a family to bring up. You had one or two commitments there that perhaps just got a little bit on top of you, but we were there to help you. We gave you sort of leave, we didn't sort of, but you knew that you had the cooperation and that you had the courage to do what you wanted to achieve. And you've done that. I thank you for your contribution. Kelvin, we'll move on to you, sir.
Okay. Strap in tight, guys. Right. This is not about me. The last 3 years is not about me. It's been about the community. And my first thank you is to the community for the privilege of being able to serve for 3 years. Thank you to the community for supporting the continuation of the Malvern Community Board. Unfortunately, it doesn't still include West Melton, so I'm going to have to leave you to your awesome community. I've done nothing in the last 3 years, apart from being a guy in a red suit a couple of times and an elf the first year. It's the community that's done these things. We can talk about Sheffield Community Pool, which is what I like to talk about now. And it's the community that got stuck in. I've been watching and hopefully supporting where I can. But it's the community if they've done it, and we've got a long way to go by the sound of it for that one. Dartfield Jail reopening. I've done a few things like break into the money box to get the $102, I believe. Oh, Harvey's not still here, so he can't back me up on that. But so we've had some fun. The 14 RAs have been awesome. And one of our significant achievements is getting those RAs together so that we've got a consistent view from the whole of Malvern. And I hope that we can do in the future for Selwyn, we can do a consistent view from all the wards, and we can bring that forward and get some significant delegations for those community boards. What I'd ask the new community board, hopefully there might be a couple of people here, is to support the community. That's what you're here for. Find out where the needs are and take that forward for them. I must thank our councillors. Let's say Councillor Bob and Councillor Lydia, because I like those better. It's more personal. And they've been really supportive throughout our term. To the council staff, because they've been showing up regularly to give us information and to share it with the community. And also particularly to Steve, under his guidance, we've come on and we've really developed as a community board. That's my personal opinion. And I think the new board should make sure that Steve's supporting them and taking it forward for us. Thank you, Steve. But all the staff that's behind Steve are awesome as well. I'm the only one. Yeah, you are. I'm not going to try and beat you, Bruce. But finally, I'd just like to thank the other members of the board, all of them, and in particular Bruce. I live very close to Bruce, and I didn't know what this guy was like until I joined the board. He's very close. It was an amazing experience cutting hay with Bruce. You should try it sometime, particularly when his machine breaks down and there's me, my son and Bruce out in a paddock. And that was so much fun, Bruce, trying to fix your kit for you. Trying to get those three heads of different generations working together was really difficult, but we did it and we got you back working and we got that hay in that night into my barn, which was awesome. So thank you, Bruce, for that. And thank you for all your service on our community board. Just finally, I'd like to thank one member in particular, Sean, for all the work she's done in our community. It's amazing what I've watched her do. And without her, I wouldn't be sitting here now. So thank you, Sean. And all the best for the future, Sean. And all the best for the future to the rest of the board and the community. We're here now. Let's take it forward for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you again. We'll now move on to John Very. Thank you, John.
And the thing that's really shown to me that the board was able to get the community behind them, and that in this election there are sufficient people standing that there are going to be elections in both subdivisions. And I think that just shows that the board is appreciated. So thank you to everybody.
Well, again, John, that's the shortest I've ever heard, but never mind. I think what I admired about it was sincere. The other thing is, John, particularly, you've been of particular assistance to me, there's no question about that, but along with the other board members. But the point of the thing is I've perhaps used as a bit of a scrubbing board when I haven't been exactly as good as I could. I have engaged you a couple of times as a script writer, but the last time I engaged you as a script writer, that was great. I had actually written it, but then you ignored what I wrote. So after that, I thought, well, perhaps I should do these things myself. But John, I do appreciate the fact that you were here. You know, you've given guidance as far as with your qualifications that you have. It's something that I appreciate, and I'm sure the board has too. So I thank you most sincerely, not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of the fellow board members. Thank you. Now, I'm going to move on to Bob. Would you like just to say a few things, Bob? Because again, while you're retiring along with me, I think the point of the matter is, though, again, you can't beat experience. You can't beat knowledge. And the point of the matter is, Bob, that you've always been available to give your point of view and to give your experience. And that, in my opinion, is the most valuable thing that a person can actually give. I ask you now to just say a few words.
Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed 3 years. I think we all agree with that, and I think that you've all come out of the top of that. And as I say, it's been good to work with you all. I'm really pleased to see the jail opened. That's probably one of the big things that I've always wanted, seeing I sat there for 10 years as Father Christmas. Have you got central heating? No. But no, it's been great. And you start looking back, like I've been here a few years, and you start looking back and you think, oh, we haven't really done a great deal. And then you start really thinking about it. And then it's incredible, some of the little things that you don't think much about and how much they actually mean to our community. You know, I mean, if you get a pothole fixed at the end of your road and it's been there for 3 months, people really appreciate that sort of thing, especially if they've asked you to do something about it. And even if you haven't, it's been fixed. And but actually, it's good. You know, I enjoy the small communities. I enjoyed probably the biggest things that I've involved with was the wastewater to Darfield and Kirwee. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I didn't really expect in my life. And if the government hadn't given us a large amount of money, it probably wouldn't have happened. But the other thing is the Hororata Hall. I think that's a good model for the council to look at in the future. I don't see that as the only hall that could happen to, and the same with the Sheffield Pool. I think my one disappointment in being a councillor is chasing a covered-in pool for Darfield, and it just eludes me. It gets into the next long-term plan in year 11 every time, so it's eluded me for quite a lot of years. And then I had a certain mayor say to me the other day, oh, possibly the next pool will go at Lincoln. So that even disappointed me a lot more. So, but anyway, thanks for all of your service. I know the community appreciate it, especially like I go to Colgate, Glentunnel, Whitecliffsville, local ones, and they're really enjoying getting together and having a sort of combined voice. And at some stage, there might be something quite serious in Malvern that people don't see. And if all these people get together, they're going to have a bigger voice. So I think that's well worthwhile, and I think that's on you for the work that you put in. And thanks anyway, and I'll enjoy my retirement.
Thank you, Bob. Lydia, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll follow on from Bob. It's been an interesting 3 years, hasn't it? I was sort of reflecting on that and all the things that have happened, and you know, the tricky situations that you've actually all navigated really well. And you know, it hasn't been without the challenges, but I think, you know, the community board has come out the other end of that stronger, and our community is more engaged, and I think that that's really important to recognise that. Look, it's a thanks to you guys. It's been great building relationships with you, and you know, I think that in our normal day-to-day life we probably wouldn't have come across each other. But you know, this is what happens is, you know, a community elects people in here and puts a group of people together that don't know each other, and you come out the other end as you know, having to work together, and I think that that's something that you should all be really proud of as well. Oh, look, it's a thanks to you guys, and a thanks to our community for their dedication to us too. And you know, there's been a lot of collaboration and a lot of service from community and from us, and it's nice to acknowledge that. And I think whether you are seeking your retirement or re-seeking election or standing into different roles, I think what you've done in the community has shaped our district and strengthened our democracy. So yeah, to those stepping down, thank you, and best wishes for your next chapter, and for those going for election, good luck, and thank you for putting your name forward to serve.
Thank you, Lydia. We've been quite fortunate, I believe, the two councillors that have actually, sorry, I can't see anybody now. We've been very fortunate in the councillors that we've had as members of our community board. And I think it's been much appreciated. It really has. To sum it up, quite frankly, we had the old and the new. And I think, you know, we had Bob's experience, we had Lydia's up and coming, and it was just something that I felt it was a very harmonious community board, particularly with our councillors. And I certainly appreciate, and I know that our board does too, for the work that you as councillors did in coming back onto our community board and telling us and guiding us. That's something that I really appreciated. So to both of you, I congratulate you. Now, just in summing up, just very carefully, I'll just say, you mentioned to Steve, thank you, Steve, for what you've done for the board. Thank you in particularly for what you're going to do. And that is, you've listened to us. You've listened to us in regards delegations. You listened to us on finance. You listened to us on a number of things, which really in some ways is something that some of us have been advocating for many years, to give us a more sort of responsibility. All the community boards that I've been on, simply the responsibility we had given to us was naming roads or approving the names of roads. That, to me, the people who make up the community boards are elected people. We're there by the Act. Therefore, I was reluctant the way council didn't really, not only this council, but our previous councillors, they didn't really realise the type of people who were standing for community board positions. We were the closer in many ways to the general public than perhaps what our councillors were. So, and we were there to assist councillors, not obstruct councillors. We were there for the benefit of our community. And that's where I don't think some of the councillors, past and present, well, present is probably not the right word now because we haven't got many of them standing. But the point of the matter is, though, that, you know, as I've said to my board on many, many occasions, the good Lord gave you two ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. Don't forget that. So now we've just got to make a couple of wee presentations. So Steve, I'll ask you to sort of take over. But again, just as a final word, to those of you who are seeking higher roles, I wish you every success. I wish you every success, that you've taken the challenge to do things that you strongly believe in. So I hope, and wouldn't it be great if we had members of the community board who not only become councillors, but they may get higher honours as well. So I wish you all the very best, and thank you for your contribution to the Malvern Community Board over the last 3 years. Well done.
I'm not going to top that, and it's always tough coming after you, Bruce. But look, on behalf of council and the staff, there is just a small recognition of your contribution to your community, acknowledging the sacrifices you've made. So there is a small native plant that's tucked away in the corner, and we'll just come around and pass it out to you now. Just as a wee contribution, and say thank you very much, and hopefully we do see you back around the table in some form or shape, in whatever shape and role you may fill. And all the best for the future. So thank you very much.